What's going on YouTube? GeoSnow right here. So in today's video I have some great news for those of you on A12 and A13 devices, but also older devices waiting for a jailbreak on iOS 14, including iOS 14.2. As it turns out, iOS 14.2 is not even released yet. It's still in beta or a release candidate for the moment, but developer Luca Todesco posted this yesterday. Well, the message isn't exactly very clear, but the photo is worth 1,000 words. As you can see from here, from the photo, we can see read and write primitives obtained. What this means is that he got kernel read and write primitives, which means that he's able to control the kernel memory and of course read and write to it as he pleases. Then of course he performs a read, in fact 2 of them, and then a kernel base read, which of course turns out to be this address in here. Now since he is able to get the kernel base, he is indeed definitely able to read the kernel memory. And then of course he runs uname, and that provides the kernel version string. And if you compare the kernel version string from here, it's actually an A12 device running 14.2, which is currently in release candidate. So what QWERTY or Luca did in here was to actually get an exploit, a kernel exploit usable for a jailbreak, work on the A12 devices on the latest beta software that is available and soon will be the latest iOS version. Now of course it's very likely that if it works on 14.2, it may work on 14.1 and 14.0.1 and 14.0 and stuff like that. Now it's not always the case for that. The backwards compatibility isn't exactly always there, but in many cases it actually is, and it did happen in the past with many kernel vulnerabilities. Now as you're probably aware, QWERTY or Luca Todesco is actually part of the checkrain jailbreak. However, I have to clarify something in here. The checkrain jailbreak doesn't use a kernel exploit, not exactly one that we use normally for a jailbreak like the uncover. So this exploit will not be used in checkrain. This is something that you should definitely know. The checkrain uses patches for the kernel, but the whole exploit that's powering up the checkrain jailbreak is actually checkmate, which is indeed a bootstrap exploit that has nothing to do with the kernel exploits that we find. So this is very likely not going to get updated with this in here at any time in the future. If this ever gets released, we might be able to use it for Uncover or for Odyssey jailbreak or for any semi-untethered jailbreak. In fact, checkrain should be able to support pretty easily the iOS 14.2 once it gets released, because the bootstrap exploit cannot be patched. However, this doesn't apply to A12 devices because checkrain is not compatible with them. While QWERTY's exploit is definitely compatible with A12 devices, the T8020 is actually an A12 device. Now for those of you who actually purchased the newer devices like the iPhone 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max, 12 Mini and of course 12, there is some good news for you too. You probably remember JNDoc and Sparky managed to actually get the A14 somehow jailbroken or at least exploited, which is actually quite good. They managed to do this back in October when they got their devices. Of course the A14 chip is what powers the newer devices, and according to Luca Todesco, there are some issues, especially with pack forgeries that are now either very hard to do or impossible to do. I have to research this, but there are indeed changes. However, JNDoc and Sparky managed to actually get some exploits working. You can see here they also got their kernel base, that is on A14, and that's on 14.1, which is basically what iOS version this devices support for the moment. And as you can see here, they even managed to get root. Sparky did get root in here too. You can see UID 501, which is mobile, a very unprivileged user on iOS, and then of course it changes to UID 0, which is root, a very privileged user on iOS, and of course also read and write primitives obtained in here. So it looks pretty good for jailbreaking. We don't know if Luca is going to release this anytime soon or if he's going to release it at all, but it's a good achievement, and it goes to show that even though Apple is putting a fight and is trying to restrict iOS more and more, destroying even TFP0 exploits to some extent since iOS 13.7 or so, it's still possible to exploit the kernel, it's still possible to get root, and it's still possible to obtain read and write primitives, though it does require more skill, but that's not a problem for Luca, JNDoc or Sparky, I assume. If you're waiting for a jailbreak, I would definitely stay lower than 14.2 for the moment. 14.1 is okay, 14.0.1 is okay, 14.0 is okay, but if you're on 13.7 or lower, that's even better. We're going to get a jailbreak for that pretty soon. I would definitely advise advise you though to save your blobs. Use the SS saver or use the system info tweak for A12, and of course save your blobs. You may find them very useful in the future. So that's basically it. Pretty good achievements. I will keep you updated with anything that's going on in the jailbreak community. I am GeoSnow. Till the next time, subscribe to stay updated. Peace out and thank you for watching.